James Ernest of the Grueling Truth Radio Network here with Starcom Racing, Derrike Cope, and Jeffery Earnhardt. So, Derrike, obviously it's been quite busy with the off season. Tell us, get us caught up to date with the acquisition of Jeffery and anything else that we would need. Just off the top of your head.
Well, certainly we've been busy trying to really prepare ourselves for Daytona and the start of the season. And it's been pretty good. I think we've managed all those things relatively well. Obviously, the biggest obstacle for us is that we outsource a great deal right now. So you have to rely on a lot of other entities to procure, all the things you need as far as finishing, hanging bodies and chassis and things like that. So, but we've weathered that storm, I think, relatively well, and really just trying to, get ready to finish the task, and that is getting ready for the West Coast swing. But, obviously our first initial situation was to, find the driver and, be positioned well and feel like that we could move forward in the best case possible for Starcom Fiber and Starcom Racing, and that was to hire Jeffery. And was excited about the opportunity. He's a young driver, and I think has a great attitude, and is obviously very pretty humble and laid back. And we were looking for somebody that could come in and understand what we as a race team we're going to have shortcomings of, and that's being as prepared as a team that has already been up and running. So he was mindful of that, and I think he and his group were very supportive of that, along with DRX, the sponsor that came on board. And it was just a nice situation to ready ourselves for Daytona, and obviously things went really relatively well for us there.
So, Jeffery, being an MMA fighter, how does that prepare you to be a NASCAR driver?
I don't know if they have much similarities, but I don't do the MMA stuff anymore. It was kind of something I did whenever I was only running a partial schedule, so had a lot of free time on my hand, and I didn't want to spend it being lazy, getting fat. So my buddy talked me into going to a gym, and next thing you know, I was convinced into doing a MMA fight. It was a good learning experience for me. I learned a lot about myself, and how hard I'm willing to work at something I have no clue about, and trying to be successful at it. So as a character builder, I feel like that's where it helped me the most, and really learn who I was as a person.
Jeffery, Derrike covered why they chose you. Why did you choose Starcom?
Well, after sitting down and just discussing the opportunity with Derrike and Alicia, he told me a little bit about Starcom Fiber and Starcom Racing and what they were looking to achieve and their goals, and then showed me a lot of the equipment that they had acquired. And, of course, they had leased the charter from RCR, so everything just really made sense. The team owners, they're wanting to push the team and grow it as quick as possible and make it a successful team one day. And it's just really nice to know that the team owners actually want to see it succeed, and they're pushing really, really hard to do it. And they got Derrike there, who obviously knows how to run a program the right way, and everything just kind of really made sense, and started really aligned to say that's where we should go, and the best opportunity out there for me as a driver, and hopefully for many races in years to come.
So, Jeffery, with it being a new organization, does that give you optimism that you'll be able to grow and progress along together, you and the organization?
Yeah, definitely. As Derrike said, being a new team, you're going to have bumps in the road, but that's all part of building a new team. But I definitely success coming out of this team in the future. It's, like as I said, they're investing money in all the right areas and having the right people, do the right things, as far as like outsourcing stuff and making sure that we bring really good cars to the track. So I like to think that as the year goes on, we'll continue to progress and make the program better and better week in and week out. It's going to be a lot about bringing cars home for these first few weeks, but I feel like we can put ourselves in the situation to be able to bring cars home in one piece, but still be aggressive and get good finishes. And if you're bringing cars home in one piece, you can make them faster. You can't make them faster when you're bringing them home fixing them.
Very true. Derrike, with starting last September, just how big of an advantage was that as opposed to just starting from scratch this year?
I think certainly, especially having the core group of individuals that I started with to be, the mainstays and to grow the team, I felt like that it was imperative to try to get a few races under our belt, certainly to see where our shortcomings were and to see, maybe some of the equipment that we had procured, if it was going to be something that we could utilize, with some of the newer cars that we were getting. And, sometimes you just got to be able to, hit the ground running a little bit and at least get through some of the early pitfalls. And we hadn't been in the Cup Series, to a great extent, on a weekly basis. And I'd driven, I'd drove another team and did shock observers for the team, and then Tony was working with another team in Cup Series on a limited basis. So, it's one thing to go a few times a month, then going every week and being prepared and understanding that aspect. So, we were able to put things together in a very short period of time, about 4 weeks, which was quite an accomplishment, not starting even with one bolt. So we really, my wife and I did a good job, I felt like, getting up and running, and we certainly had our problems initially, which really I think did help us understand, where we were at in the grand scheme of things and what things we needed to rectify. So over the winter, we worked hard. Obviously got behind a little bit, certainly because of the new body style with the Chevrolet Camaro, and trying to get, cars from RCR. And it was just, a huge undertaking, with a small team, which we are. And I felt really, really proud that we were able to come through that. But I think starting in September was imperative, and I think it really has helped us come out and showcase our potential at Daytona in the manner in which we did.
What's your thoughts on the new body style, Derrike?
I'm sorry?
You mentioned the new body styles on the cars. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, initially, obviously you don't really know because, again, we're so far behind. It's difficult being last man on the totem pole, to be able to get bodies. We've been unable to really go to a wind tunnel or do any real work outside of just getting the cars ready to get to the racetrack. So it's a work in progress. But from what, I hear and what I see, I feel like that the Chevrolet Camaro is definitely going to be a lot better race car than what we had last year. Looks like, from the side force, where I think that's going to be the most imperative thing that we were lacking at this point, that'll help us for this year. I think the cars are going to race well in traffic, and I think that's going to be great. Certainly, you saw at Daytona, the Camaro was fast race car. We were in the in the top half of the board most all the time, and felt like that we were a good race team. And I think the same thing will apply here. I think our cars are good. The bodies look good. We've had reputable people doing those things. So I don't think we're taking a knife to a gunfight anyway. So I feel like we can go and be productive. Certainly, we have a huge learning curve to go through, but one that I think we'll take and manage for the first 5 or 6 races and see where we stack up, and hopefully we can build on that.
Jeffery, how important is it to be part of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series?
Obviously that's my goal and where I want to be in my racing career at some point. We all want to be champions and be a champion at the highest level. So, with Dale Jr. retiring and no more Earnhardt out there, I felt like there was a little bit of pressure to need to be there, but not by no means putting myself in that situation because I feel like I absolutely had to. I just feel like it was the right fit, and obviously I still have a lot to learn as a driver, and I feel like I've learned a good amount over the past couple of years, but I feel like no matter what, you're going to always continue to learn. No matter who you are, you can be the complete best, and there's always something new you can learn. So I know I still got a long way to go, but I felt like where I'm at in my career, that to be in the Monster Energy Cup Series is a good fit, and it's going to take time to get to the top, I'm sure, and be a championship driver. But I feel like there's a lot of Earnhardt fans out there that will continue to follow the name and follow the legacy that my grandfather had worked so hard to build.
Yeah, you mentioned about taking time. I mean, you're only 28, so you still have plenty of time left. But obviously, you probably very ambitious and want to get there as soon as you can. But you're right on that. There's no reason to rush for the sake of rushing. Derrike, tell us, what is a NASCAR charter, and how do you acquire one, and how often does it have to be renewed?
Well, there's certainly two aspects of the charter, and one is ownership, and the other is leasing. When an entity owns a charter, they have the ability to lease it out for a year, but then the following year they have to take it back in and race it, or they have to sell it. So maintaining your charter, if you just have one team and one charter, then you just need to maintain it and stay within the guidelines and the parameters, before that, and that is entering every race and running it efficiently and trying to keep it out of the bottom three of the points. So with regard to us, obviously we were looking to procure a charter and wanted to own one, but the opportunities, we started so late that I think there was so much dialogue already out there of trying to, find the ones that were going to be sold, that we were a little bit late in that positioning. The opportunity, really came down to the 27 charter at RCR, and we had worked diligently to try to provide, what it would be with RCR, their thoughts and what they wanted to do. And they were receptive at first to selling, and then obviously as things moved along, they were wanting to keep the entity intact, but lease it out for a year, so to speak, park it, and allow us to run it, and give them time to see if, they wanted to elevate it back to a third team to, if they could provide the sponsorship necessary to do that. And this was a perfect fit for them, I think, because we really were a startup team. We needed quality equipment, and we needed some sort of an alliance, which, was to be able to procure the proper pieces. So we were able to work out a deal that I think was mutually beneficial, where we purchased equipment, and cars, and engines, and things of that nature, and really get ourselves in a position. And that, I think, was the determining factor for us and them, and it worked out for everyone.
Derrike, what are some of the advantages of having a fourth-generation driver?
Well, the advantages, I don't really look at the fourth generation scenario to be, whether it was the Earnhardt name or something else. I mean, fourth generation, the only thing that I see that, really is a major benefit is the fact that, he obviously has grown up in a family of racing. And I think, to have the true passion for the sport, you've been brought up in it, you understand it, you understand, the pitfalls, and you understand the obstacles and the excitement, and, and I think that in itself, that he understands the sport and wants to be here and wants to carry on his name, and which is, I think, a great thing. What it does for us from the standpoint is, obviously, it creates a name, that certainly draws some attention to our race team, and it allows us to showcase, our brand, being a Starcom Fiber brand and Starcom Racing, and gives us some notoriety, instantaneous credibility in the marketplace. But I look at it from the standpoint that I look at Jeffery as an individual, and I look at Jeffery for what merit, he brings to the table, is how hard he works, what he becomes for himself. And I think that he attests to that same thing, is he wants to be the best that Jeffery Earnhardt can be, and not compare himself to, his grandfather or junior, or the, people that came before him. He has to pave his own way, and he knows that, and he's willing to work hard, as he's alluded to, and our job is to try to support him and to provide the tools for him to go out and showcase his potential to his fullest extent. So, those are the things that I think really mean a great deal to us from the standpoint of the Earnhardt legacy.
Jeffery, same question. How important, being a fourth generation driver, is it to you, being able to represent your family's name, to be able to, growing up learning the business?
For me, it's mostly just fact of carrying on the legacy that my grandfather worked so hard to build. As Derrike said, I'm not here to try and be my grandfather or be junior or my dad. I'm my own man, and I feel like I've done it my own way. And it's funny because people, even within my family, bring it up to me and say, that they think it's funny how I just do it my own way and not their way, I guess. But to continue the legacy and carry on the Earnhardt name, for my grandfather is what means the most to me, because I know how hard he worked and how much he meant to the sport. So I would hate to ever think that I let him down in that matter. But again, I know it takes hard work and time and dedication to be successful in the sport. I'm not by any means trying to be him or fill his shoes. It's just it's the Earnhardt name that he built and worked really, really hard to build. So I would like to think that I could try and carry on that and give the Earnhardt fans someone to continue to cheer for. That's my biggest thing or way of looking at it.
Could you share with us something, say, that you learned from your dad?
Probably the biggest thing I learned from him was patience. When I was younger, first, running trucks or I guess even before that, but, when I was in trucks, I didn't exactly have the best equipment, and, I'd always go out there and try and make more out of it than what it was, and you end up, getting yourself in trouble or, pushing equipment, past its capabilities, or, just making, bonehead moves and end up with a wrecked race car. So, he really beat into my head that, you need to be patient, take what the car will give you, and don't, overdo it, because in the long run it's going to hurt you worse. So, that's something that I feel like has always stuck with me. I mean, it took a few years for him to finally fully beat it into my head, but it's true, because you get in a situation where it just ain't your day and the car ain't handling the best, and you got to make the best out of the opportunity, but you don't want to overdo it and put yourself in a bad situation. So I feel like that's probably the biggest thing and probably the best thing that I've learned throughout my racing career is to be patient and take what it will give you, and if you can get a little bit more out of it, great, but don't overdo it.
Jeffery, having a former driver as your team manager, with Derrike's years of experience driving the car, does it make him more relatable, or does it mean more when he said something as opposed to, say, having a manager that's just like a pencil pusher that didn't drive?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Derrike's been in the sport and around the sport for a long time, and he's been successful at it and understands it. So, get advice from, or just ask his opinion on things is very beneficial for me and the whole team. I feel like sometimes I'm sure there's gonna be times where I have a hard time really laying it all out on the table, and him being there and experiencing I'm sure a lot of things throughout this sport. He could be the person to kind of bridge that gap and really put it in terms where everyone can understand it. He helped a lot down in Daytona, and I'm sure he's going to continue to help me a lot throughout the whole season with things that he's experienced, things that he's seen in the past, things that he's dealt with. I think it's going to be a big help for all of us.
Derrike, first to you and then Jeffery, because I'm going to ask basically the same question to both of you. What do you consider a successful season?
A successful season for us, I think, certainly will be just, progressing. I think, obviously, we're in the infancy of where we're as a race team. We're really just trying to familiarize ourselves with the equipment we have, which obviously is different than what we've run before. Really, I think just trying to get ourselves off the mark. And as Jeffrey alluded to, just, stay within ourselves as a race team and really kind of not, let outside influences really enter into the equation. I think that's going to be imperative for us, and just stay within ourselves, race within ourselves and our equipment and our ability initially until we can get through the West Coast swing, really see how we stack up with the competition, and then start to really try to progress. If we don't tear up race cars and we bring them home for the first 4 or 5 races, then we'll be able to really, I think, enhance what we've learned and become more productive as we go along. If we can do that, I feel like that would be the biggest success as a race team that we could do. And by the end of the year, we'll have progressed to the point where we're running, where I think we are expecting ourselves to run, and that I feel like is probably going to be, I think, creditable for a first-year team. If we do those things there, we'll have a solid year.
How about you, Jeffery? Do you reiterate his beliefs and where it's about progressing in this year? Maybe not so much the placement, but more so just the consistency?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it's like I told a bunch of people down in Daytona, the biggest thing to me is to see improvement week in and week out. I feel like if you continue to see improvement every week in the performance of the cars, me as a driver, the team, you're going to start to see the results. With improvement comes results, and I feel like we're definitely in a good situation to be able to continue to improve. Every week we go to the racetrack, we just have to, as Derrike said, stay within our means and understand that it might be a little tough to get through this West Coast swing, but if we can make it out of the West Coast swing with some cars still intact, I think we'll be sitting really good to be able to say what our team needs or what can improve it, and what we can do different to make our weekend races even better. But you got to continue to improve upon yourself and your situation, and I think if we do that, we'll have the results by a lot sooner than what you would think.
Derrike, who are the sponsors that you would like to thank? Obviously, Starcom is the first one that comes to mind, but who else has been sponsoring the team?
Obviously, I do really have to, give a great deal of, thanks to Starcom Fiber, the brand, the company itself, and all the principals there, Mike and Matt Kohler, Bill Woolman, Ashley Marie Monica. I mean, those are the people that have really sacrificed over the winter, and really, we owe them a great deal of gratitude, because they have been so gracious to really position us in this manner to really come out with the quality of a race team that I think we have. Obviously we're very fortunate that Jeffrey's relationship with VRX simulators from Vancouver, British Columbia, stepped up and provided the funding for our initial starts to Daytona and the West Coast Swing. And Robert's a great guy. He's very passionate about his company as well as Jeffrey's career. So I think those two entities right there have just been instrumental in helping us really get to this point. And he has relationships, with Shockwave and a number of other people there that have come on board to help us. But really, that's really the entities that have put us in a position here to get ready and be credible and get started. So we're very thankful for those relationships.
And before we let you go, Jeffrey, where would we find you all on social media? What's the team's website, that kind of thing, so we can have our fans follow and learn more about you?
Well, my Twitter is Earnhardt1. That's where I feel like most of the social media stuff gets posted there, or Instagram, and then also check us out on starcomracing.com. Follow all the updates. Also my website, jefferearnhardt.com. We try to post it as often as possible. I'm not the best with social media, but they're with me in the shape to being a lot more informative and better on the social media platform.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show today, and we wish you the best of luck in Atlanta and Las Vegas to follow.